They say a daughter's first protector is her father, but no one prepares you for the moment when the man who vowed to protect you becomes the one you need protection from. That night, I stood in the freezing rain, watching my pregnant daughter collapse onto cold stone like she meant nothing, and something inside me changed forever. Before I tell you what I did to the people who thought they could break her, understand this. This is not revenge. This is not anger. This is justice. If you believe a mother's love is something sacred, stay with me. My name is Clara. For 30 years, I worked in finance in Bristol. Quiet life, safe choices. I raised my daughter, Daisy, mostly on my own after her father passed. She was softness in a world built of sharp edges. An artist, gentle, too gentle. When she met Grayson Sterling, I thought she had found stability. He was polished, wealthy, a solicitor from a respected family. The Sterlings carried themselves like royalty. But sometimes wealth doesn't create monsters, it just funds them. At first, he was perfection. Flowers every Friday, polite smiles, ma'am with a slight bow of the head. I wanted to trust him. Looking back, the warning signs were microscopic. The way he corrected her in public, the way he'd suggest she tone down her laughter because it was a bit much, the way he guided her elbow like she was something decorative. At their engagement dinner, his mother, Beatrice, handed me a fork with a sympathetic smile, explaining which utensil was for salad. It wasn't the fork that unsettled me. It was the look Grayson gave Daisy. Not love, ownership. The wedding was obscene in its luxury. Countryside estate, white roses imported from Italy. They paid for everything. I offered to contribute. Beatrice dismissed me with a wave. "We prefer consistency in quality," she said. When I walked Daisy down the aisle, her hand trembled. "Are you happy?" I whispered. She looked at him. "I am. He'll take care of me." That sentence haunted me. Take care of me, as if she couldn't stand on her own. After the wedding, the erasing began. First, she stopped painting. The smell bothered Grayson. Then she stopped visiting. He preferred structure, routine, proper appearances. When I called, he often answered. Daisy was resting. Daisy was bathing. Daisy was unavailable. One afternoon, I showed up unannounced. She flinched when she saw me. "Mom, you should have called. Grayson doesn't like disruptions." Disruptions? In her own home? Then she became pregnant. I prayed motherhood would soften him. Instead, it became another leash. He controlled her diet, her sleep, her spending. He removed her access to their joint accounts. I found out when her card declined for a coffee. She tried to smile through the humiliation. He must have forgotten to transfer it. He hadn't forgotten. He had decided. Beatrice came daily, criticizing everything. "You're gaining too much weight. Grayson dislikes sloppiness." Daisy was 6 months pregnant. I began investigating. I learned something interesting about the Sterlings. They were wealthy, but leveraged. Debt disguised as power. Grayson's firm was under quiet investigation for malpractice. Loans rolled over to maintain appearances. They were bleeding money while pretending to float. Meanwhile, Daisy believed she lived in a castle. One evening, she called me crying. "He threw away my paints, Mom," because the nursery needed space, because art was a low-class distraction. I told her to come home. "I can't," she whispered. "He says if I leave, his lawyers will take the baby. He says I'm unstable." He had kept her teenage journals. He twisted vulnerability into ammunition. I didn't storm in. I played small. I apologized to Beatrice. I smiled at Grayson. I let them think I was harmless. Quiet women can be very dangerous when underestimated. I sold my home, liquidated investments, moved funds through channels that would make accountants sweat. I had invested wisely decades ago. Quiet tech logistics ventures, real assets, not reputation, not illusion, real power. November came cold and vicious. Daisy was 8 months pregnant. Grayson hosted a dinner. He gave her a humiliatingly small dress budget for boutiques that charged triple. It was a trap. She found a navy silk dress, 50 pounds over budget. She used emergency cash I had hidden in her coat. That night, after the guests left, he asked for the receipt. "You stole from me," she explained. He burned the receipt in the fireplace. Beatrice laughed. She must learn discipline. He demanded she remove the dress, right there, in the living room. Humiliation was his favorite currency. She refused. He grabbed her arm. Not enough to bruise, enough to control. Then he did something I will never forgive. He pushed her outside, locked the door. It began to rain, freezing, merciless rain. She knocked. "Please, the baby." They poured brandy, ignored her. She stepped off the porch, collapsed on wet stone, curled around her stomach. That was the moment I arrived. I had been parked down the street, instinct screaming. I saw her fall. I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. I ran. She was blue, teeth chattering. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered. She apologized. That broke something in me permanently. I wrapped my coat around her, put her in my car. Then I walked back to the house. I didn't knock. I kicked the door. Twice. It splintered. I stepped inside, soaked, shaking with something ancient. Grayson dropped his glass. Beatrice clutched her pearls. "What are you doing?" he demanded. I stepped into his space. "You have lost everything." Those were my 5 words. He threatened arrest. I smiled. "You miscalculated." We left. Private clinic, baby safe. Then I began dismantling him. I had purchased a controlling share of the firm that owned his distressed mortgage through layered acquisitions. He never knew. 3 days later, he walked into his office and found evidence of embezzlement on his partner's desks, evidence I had uncovered months ago. He was fired. By noon, his house was foreclosed. Insurance lapse, clause triggered. Legal and devastating. He called the holding company. I answered. Silence. "You own the debt," he said. "I own everything," I replied. I gave him a choice: sign full custody to Daisy, renounce rights, disappear, or face prosecution for fraud and financial misconduct. Bullies crumble when cornered. He signed, fled. Beatrice lost everything. Daisy gave birth to Leo, healthy, strong. She paints again now. Her work is darker, but powerful. She is healing. And sometimes when I hold my grandson, I think about that rain, about silence versus action, about what happens when a woman stops asking permission to protect her child. They thought I was soft. They thought I was small. They forgot something critical. A mother will burn kingdoms to keep her daughter warm. And I did.